Aloha and welcome to Connection to the Cosmos with your host, me, Dr. Lisa Thompson, where I have out of this world conversations with extraordinary people. And today I am so excited to have on Jacqueline Kuhn, who is an angel person, and I will bring her on in just a moment. But first, a couple of announcements. So if you have not already downloaded the 20-minute meditative journey to meet your galactic family and guides, that is free on my website, mysticmanta.com or drlisajthompson.com. Also, my galactic retreat, I still have spots available, just a few spots, which is going to be here on the Big Island, September 14th to the 17th. This is going to be an amazing experience where you're really going to be connecting with these galactic entities. Or if you can't make it in September and you're here just on vacation on the Big Island, then definitely come on one of my Big Island UFO tours where you will be able to see the night sky in a whole new way. Okay, without further ado, bringing on Jacqueline. Hi, Jacqueline.
Hi, Lisa.
Okay, well, let me tell people a little bit about you. So Jacqueline Kuhn is a spiritual life coach and channeler of angels. Through prayer and meditation, she calls upon angels, saints, and spirits to assist her clients and provide insights into issues that come up in everyday life. A serial entrepreneur, Jacqueline started the Power of Five spiritual business 2 years ago on the premise that we need to have balance in the 5 power centers of our life in order to live in harmony. Today, she uses angel tarot oracle cards, meditation, and psychometry as she guides her clients towards realizing their soul's purpose and living one's best life. She blogs about the angels and angel numbers in order to help people understand the powerful forces they can be in assisting us during this lifetime. Well, welcome, Jacqueline. So excited to have you here. And we got to first experience each other because we were both in the planets and predictions of 2023 with Delisa. So that's how we came across each other. And so okay, we're going to get into the work that you do. But first, before we do that, I would love for you to share with me and with the audience kind of your background. Like, what kind of household did you grow up in? Spiritual, religious? Because now you're working with the angels. So how'd that all come about?
Yeah, so I grew up Catholic, going to church every Sunday, Catholic school, K through 8, all the sacraments, the whole thing. My my whole family very Catholic, and in the Catholic Church we do believe in angels and saints, right? And praying to them on your behalf. And interceding with them. So the leap to understanding how to communicate with them and channel them is not very great. Although I will say that people in my family still somehow think there's something wrong with it because it's kind of odd, like, yeah, you go to a Catholic church and it's filled with pictures of angels and saints. We're told to light candles and pray, but
Yeah.
like what, we're not supposed to hear them? So I think that's really that's really interesting. But I've always been attracted to them. I've always known I've had guardian angels around me. But it wasn't until I was 16 that I really made the connection between being able to um, know what they're saying and communicate more broadly and understand energies, and that I have those gifts, by walking into my friend's house, and the lady in the neighborhood is a tarot card reader, and she was in the kitchen table reading the cards for the ladies in the neighborhood, and my friend and I are like, "Oh, we want a reading." And so she did my friend's reading, and then I sat down with her, and her name is Mrs. Slaw, and she basically looked at me and said, "Well, dear, you have the gift yourself. You don't need me to tell you, but you need to you need to build it. You need to practice. You need to work your own gifts." And she gave me one of her tarot card decks
Oh, wow.
and told me to use this as my guide moving forward. I still have that deck today.
Okay.
It's kind of my, yeah, I don't really use it, but because it's getting a little old, and she is on my spirit team. But yeah, that's when I really understood a little bit more about, okay, it's not just a one way. You receive messages back. It's not just one way up, it goes nowhere. You can receive them back. And then I met, uh, now you talk about fate and destiny. Right before COVID shut the world down, I was in Vegas, and a woman who works for me knew Delissa from Texas and
Okay.
said, "Let's go to her show. Let's go to her show in Vegas." I'm like, "Yeah, heck yeah, let's go."
Yeah.
Literally right before going to the show, I hit a like $2,000 jackpot on slots while I was waiting for my friends to gather. And because I'm like, "God, when am I gonna gamble? I'm going to the show, I got business." So I sat down on a machine, I just started plugging money.
Hmm.
Boom, hit the jackpot. I'm like, "Okay, I guess I don't have to gamble anymore." Go to the show where, Delissa asks for people to come on stage to try to bend a spoon with, with your mind, to manifest it. I literally bent it in half, manifesting it. The only one on stage that did that, had a conversation with her afterwards, became a student of hers to continue to build my gifts. And here I am today with my business, which is a side business. I have another business I have to retire out of, but yeah, that's me.
Okay. Wow. Well, I did not know you had that connection with her in that way. So that's really cool. And yeah, synchronicities, right? Well, okay. So as a teenager, so you were hearing the angels, right? Were you seeing them as well, or are you just clairaudient?
Just hearing, yeah, clairaudient and claircognizant, because I always knew things that I had no other reason knowing.
Yeah.
Even as a very small child, I always knew stuff that people, "Oh, you're so smart, you got a good memory." Yeah, maybe, but now I'm looking back going, "It wasn't all me.
Yeah. Right.
It wasn't all me." Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay. So when you were having these experiences as a teenager, I mean, were you thinking, okay, I'm a little crazy, or were you like, oh, okay, this is cool, and having that lady be your kind of saying, you have the gift, do this, did you just accept that immediately?
Um, I thought it was cool.
Okay.
It was more of, this is something cool to do or something cool to have. Um, but I was just playing with it. I really didn't take it seriously at all. But I knew that I had an intuition. Like other unlike some other friends of mine when we were teens, I just instinctively knew who to hang out with, who not to hang out with. I wasn't a part of a clique. I had selected certain friends because now I know they had an energy. I just felt that they were going to be good for me. So I was like that person who didn't I wasn't an outcast by any means. I wasn't like that, outcast nomad person, but I was friends with people from every little group in school because I did what I felt intuitively was good for me with people who I felt were good people.
Okay. Well, and a lot of people they get that information, but they ignore it. I know I was one of those. I would get the feeling of people and I would override it like for years, decades. So,
Yeah, I really didn't. And then it followed me, into college where I had to make some big decisions like, you know, in college, the big decision, do I pledge a sorority or do I stay independent? And I just didn't feel right in the sorority and I went the independent route. I mean, I always made a decisions on whether or not it felt right for me.
okay. Well, that's beautiful. So then, okay, so you're hearing the angels, you're understanding them. So in the beginning, was that just for your own purposes, or
Yeah.
when did you start getting maybe messages that were meant for other people, or them asking for information from you?
So Um, when I got into the professional world after college, well, I shouldn't say that. It really happened when I was struggling in college, and where I got my first like real answer, like real tangible answer. It was sophomore year. I was really struggling. And I was like, somebody help me, just what's going to happen? And literally that night, my departed grandfather came to me in form in my dorm room. My roommate witnessed it, and he basically told me, stick it out, you'll be okay. I'm here for you.
Okay. So
And
the
that's
fact
when I knew,
so your
yeah,
room, so both of you are seeing this kind of apparition. Did it look like energy or was he
it was
soft?
him. No, it was his actual body. Yeah.
Okay.
What he looked like when he was alive.
Wow. Wow. Okay. Well, and so then that gave you comfort and you stuck with it.
Yeah, that gave me comfort and knowledge and knowing that I'm doing the right thing, that when I reach out, things get asked and answered. I would have people in college like, can you check this out for me, or how do you feel about this, that, or the other thing? But nothing formally, just kind of friends who would say, hey, what do you think about this? Or what do you think I should do? Because they trusted that my opinion was coming from somewhere other than me, and so it was very informal like that. But the messages kept coming. My godfather, when he died, came to me in a dream the night he died. That morning when my mom called to tell me to come home, I'm like, oh yeah, I already made the plans, I already knew, right? I mean, they just kept coming, and I just kept living my life like it was natural and normal. Like, okay, yeah.
Okay. Well, and did your family accept that? Did they know that this was going on for you?
I think they just sort of ignored it.
Okay.
Yeah, they just ignored it. They didn't acknowledge it. They just kind of ignored it. They're like, "Oh, whatever." Yeah.
Okay. Well, and so then, so you left college, and then what kind of profession did you go into?
So I got a master's degree after college in social work. So my bachelor's in sociology and philosophy and my master's in social work, and I started off thinking I was going to be a social worker, but they don't pay anything, and I that just wouldn't work for me. So I went into human resources, and didn't like that. But I got into the technology side of it eventually, and the computer side, and made a career out of that, which is kind of my full time career today that I'm looking to retire from.
Mhm.
And I honestly believe that um, that's where I was destined to be all along. I had no formal training in it, but the minute they sat me in front of a computer, I just knew. I just knew this is where I belonged. I knew what to do. I really didn't need to be trained on it. I just took to it like it was in me, right? So yeah, I made my career out of it, and then I would actually at events, and people that I knew, I would just do ad hoc palm readings, telling people about themselves. Yeah, because people kind of got the word that I was, quote, psychic, and they
Okay.
would
So this is something that you were hiding at
no,
work. No.
never,
Okay.
never, never hit it, never
Well,
hit it.
I spent years hiding my galactic side, so that's why that's great that you didn't feel like you had to hide.
Yeah, it kind of became like one of those quirky things, right? Like she's the quirky girl who reads palms.
Okay.
But it was so on point and accurate that people are like, "Whoa." But she's that quirky girl. Yeah, it was just a part of my quirky personality, I think.
Okay. Okay. Well, so then, was there something in your life, or was it COVID really, or like being in Vegas, bending the spoon? Like, what was this thing of you're like, I need to start a business doing this?
I had so that's like a really really good question. I was looking, so I am of the age over 60 where I wanted to do something. I wanted to retire from this professional world and do something. And I was looking for, what am I going to do when I retire from this HR technology world? And I didn't even know that having a spiritual business would even be possible until I met Delissa.
Okay.
And so it was a combination of me looking for something to be my next thing, and then and knowing I've always liked the idea of helping people and counseling. I mean, that's it, even in what I do consulting now, I just help people make decisions. That's literally been my life. It's just in a different way. And then after seeing Delissa and recognizing that, yeah, I can do this, uh, it really wasn't until I was in a class with her that we were doing like practice card readings that the person I was reading is like, how did you know that? Like, I never really understood what my abilities were,
Okay.
and that they were like real. Like
Mhm.
they weren't just playing around.
Yeah.
And that's when I'm like, yeah, I'll this is what I want to do.
Okay. So can you tell me more the power of five? Like tell me more about that.
Yeah, so my whole concept is we have these power areas in our life. Home, relationships, career, money, health and wellness, spirituality and faith. And if we keep all of them in balance, we live a harmonious life.
Mhm.
But at any point in time, there if one thing is we're overemphasizing or underemphasizing, we don't feel whole and connected. We feel like we're out of balance. So I've created my services around helping people remain in balance in those five areas.
Okay.
And so when I do a reading for someone, or my meditations, I have a whole meditation set where I have a meditation for each power center, right? Focused on each power center. And when I do a reading for someone, they may ask about one area, but I will immediately go, wait a minute, you are not in balance here. You know, you're asking about this area, but your problem really is over here. We need to shore you up over here and then you'll be fine over here, right? So it's really about making sure you don't under or overextend yourself so that you are whole.
That is challenging in the world, especially. I can say, my now that my kids are teenagers, they're more self sufficient. But like being a business owner of two small children,
Yeah.
balancing that with my spiritual life, with being married and then divorced and
Yeah.
remarried. I mean, that's a lot. So
Yeah, it is. And I think a lot of people don't understand that it doesn't mean that you it doesn't mean you have to compromise. It means you have to understand what you want to deliver in each of these five areas. Like, what do you want out of these five areas? And then figure out how to make a plan. Like, I've worked with many women. I don't have any children myself, but I've worked with many women who have small children, who have school age children, not really small, but school age children. And I'm like, to balance your child activities, it's all about setting expectations for them. What are you going to attend? What aren't you going to attend? Put a calendar in place, right? It's using the tools and telling them it's being a good parent doesn't mean being there all the time.
right.
It's setting the expectations on when you're going to be there and removing that guilt that, oh my God, I can't be there all the time. Honestly, your child doesn't want you there all the time. You know,
Yeah.
don't helicopter them. They don't want you there all the time. I don't know of any kid that wants their parent around all the time. But there are key moments when you need to be, and it's really helping people look through the situation and the energies and the people they're hanging out with, and helping them decide what to get rid of and what to, cut back on that isn't serving them. And we all spend more time in areas that are not serving us,
Mhm.
and it's really about helping people figure that out so we feel better. in all the areas of our life.
Okay, so over the last few years, we've been in this kind of COVID pandemic, closed off arena. So, I mean, life really dramatically changed for a lot of people. And so, I guess I'm kind of curious about your clients. Like, how were you able to help them through that time period where, maybe if they did have school age children, they now had to become the teacher or, homeschool mom, like I had to be, which I hated. I was not good at
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. It's really the tougher thing was really helping my clients understand that they need to do their own self-care. And that taking care of yourself, it's sort of like, and this isn't my analogy, someone else's analogy. It's like on the airplane. Put your mask on first and then assist the others. Because if you can't breathe, you're not going to help the others. And it was really me helping my clients understand and help them take care of themselves first so that they can be there for their families.
Okay, that makes sense. So, in terms of how you work with your clients, like, are they ongoing clients, or do you do one-off sessions, or like what are some of the different ways that you work with people?
Yeah, I probably have I've only been at it a short time, so I have a small set, close set of reoccurring clients who come once a quarter ish, to get advice and insight, and then a lot of one-offs, a lot of referrals from places, a lot of people who just find me and do one-offs. And then I have a Facebook group where I do free tarot cards once a month for folks who are on my Facebook group, and then it's a great way for someone to sample my style and to sample angel tarot, very different from regular tarot.
Can you
Um,
explain the difference? Because I am familiar with regular tarot. So, yeah, what is angel tarot?
yeah, so angel tarot, it's a completely different deck. First of all, the angel tarot deck has different suits. It's earth, water, fire, and air.
Okay.
And because it's the elements of the earth, and the major arcana all have an archangel tied to it. And a couple of the major arcana are different. Like there's no tower card
Okay.
in Angel Tarot, it's life experience, right? It's a complete refresh of your life experience. There's a balance card in Angel Tarot, which is something different in regular tarot. I don't remember the number. And so in the Angel Tarot, it's about being grounded and grounding yourself in the world, in the elements of the world, and in the elements of the spiritual, and opening yourself up to the angels to help you. And when we get a major arcana card showing up, it means that that archangel is reaching out and wants to help you. And so I channel Michael, Raphael, and Metatron, um, and they provide the messages and bring forth the other archangels for my clients to work with. And that's really how it's different. So, like if a major arcana card comes up and it happens to be Archangel Shamuel, I know that that person that Shamuel is reaching out and wants to work with that person on the issue at hand. And so yeah, so it's really more of uh, a guide as to who to work with to
Mhm.
help you solve that problem that you're trying to solve, or that situation.
Interesting.
Um, yeah, and then the elements, the difference in the elements is it's like um, more around how do we make life on Earth work for us, right?
Okay. So, okay, I have a couple questions about this so far. So, in terms of you're saying that you're channeling Michael, Raphael, and Metatron. So, okay, so you've experienced a little bit of my channeling
Hmm.
and the galactic stuff. And so, is it a verbal channeling where they are using your vocal cords to speak, or do you hear what they say and you are telling the people
A
what you're
little bit
hearing?
of both.
Okay.
A little bit of both. Um, I will get literal direct statements that they pop into my head that I tell my client. I sometimes get pictures, and for whatever reason, I get songs.
Okay.
More often or not, they'll communicate with me via a song and throw a song in my head as an answer to a problem. And then I have to figure out, what the heck are you trying to tell me?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, there are times when they'll just, a word will come down, or a phrase, and I know that that's meant for me to tell my client those exact words.
Okay. Well, and so when you're hearing this from those three different archangels, how are you distinguishing which one it is?
Yeah. So, Michael feels very different than the other two. There's a different feel, and almost always I get really hot and sweaty.
Okay.
It's just it's an emotional, visceral. It's like a big whoa, okay, like pay attention and listen.
Hmm.
Um Archangel Raphael has like a softer voice.
Hmm.
So when I hear words come in a softer voice, I know it's coming from Raphael. And then when it's Archangel Metatron, it's very factual. It's very like, boom, this is it.
Okay.
And so I know who it is just from how they communicate with me. And when it's Archangel, I think I'm almost positive that it is Archangel Metatron that's also giving me music,
Okay.
because I've always had a love for music and songs, and so he tends to want to play games a little bit with me. He's also the archangel for Virgo, and I'm a Virgo, and so it's like making it challenging for me to figure it out. But he's also the one that pops songs in my head, like in the middle of the night when I'm sleeping, and wake me up. So I have to go to sleep to remind myself to say, please do not communicate with me tonight. Let me sleep.
That's really interesting. Okay. Well, so my understanding, because it's interesting that when you're doing these readings, that the angels, there are specific ones that are asking, like, okay, work with me, right? And so my understanding, just like with the galactics, is that with angels, you have to ask for them to come and work with you because of our free will. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay. So tell us more about that and
Yeah,
how
it's
to work with that.
it's what I call divine law. Divine law is any any divine creation, whether it's a galactic, an angel, a fairy, whatever it is, they are not allowed to interfere with humans unless we actually ask them. And so I just tell people that, what I recommend to my clients is every morning when you get up, as you're planning your day, just say, "Angel, spirit team, guardian angels, if you have any messages for me, if you can be with me today, I am open to hearing them." And you welcome whatever happens to come in, and then at night, I always thank them. And I think that's the other thing that people really need to know. You have to thank them all the time and be grateful. And so every night, before I go to sleep, I lay down and I thank them all for the day, for what they gave, for the good things and the challenging ones, because we learn from it all.
We do.
Yeah.
That's I love that grateful part because that is actually something, I mean, I didn't even really think about that, but after every time we do a UFO tour and we have activity and people they're coming and I am always afterwards on the way driving home, I'm like, thank you, team. Thanks
Yeah.
for showing up. And my husband, who's normally with me, he's like, yeah, thank you. And so, you
Yeah,
know,
it's so important that we thank them for showing up. I mean, they'll show up anyway, but the gratitude opens us up for even more.
yeah, definitely. Well, and so, I did not grow up Catholic or religious or anything. And so angels haven't necessarily been my thing, but one of my biggest mentors is an angel person. So I've learned some about the angels. And the one that I guess I call on the most is Archangel Michael, just
Mhm.
for helping me to maintain my energy in groups of people. And because I'm a major absorber of energy. And I didn't know that until just a few years ago. And so that, even though I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I mean, yeah, extraterrestrials, angels, sure, they all are, they're
Yeah.
all there. But that Archangel Michael blue bubble is one of my go-to
Yeah.
things.
Yeah. Yeah. Just, yeah, put the light of protection and make sure, yeah, he protects you from anything else from coming into you. I would also recommend you ask Archangel Haniel. She's the archangel for the divine feminine and feminine energy. To I ask her all the time to help me make sure that I'm doing the right thing, that I am keeping the highest and best in mind, that I'm not doing this just for, the capital monetary reason, help me keep my divine feminine center
Mm,
and
beautiful.
and not worry about how and where the money is coming from because it will be there, to keep me from that position of scarcity, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, Archangel Haniel is divine feminine.
Okay. So, and which then corresponds to, in the galactic world, the Pleiadians, the divine.
Yes.
So,
Yep. Yeah.
the Andromedans represent that as
Yeah.
well.
And Archangel Michael is divine masculine.
Okay. And then that corresponds to the mantis. So we have these, yeah, beautiful, different dimensional
Yeah.
realities. So whatever someone is more compelled to work with, or use them all, they're all there for us,
Yeah.
right?
And Archangel Raphael is the healer. And that is
Well, it's the Arcturians, the Syrians, and the mantis.
yeah, yeah, because he's the healer. He's the healer of the archangel. So yeah.
Well, so, okay, one concept that I only recently heard about, or I think I saw it on Facebook, but you mentioned Metatron being specifically related to Virgo. So does each zodiac sign have a specific archangel?
Yes, they do.
Okay, so I'm a Sagittarius. So who would my archangel be?
I have to look that up. I don't memorize.
Because I saw the name, but it wasn't one that I recognized. It wasn't like one of the big seven or whatever. It was, yeah, but I can't remember what it is right now. So
So you are Sagittarius, you said?
yes.
Okay. That's November, December. Da 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 da. You are Archangel Raguel. Raguel.
Okay, that is the one. So what is that archangel represent?
Yeah, you're gonna love it. So his halo is soft blue. Just very much the color of your stone. That's his halo color,
Okay.
and he's known for bringing people together, bringing together relationships, bringing together different points of view, and bringing, people together for harmony. So, yeah, really well aligned with what you do
It
in
is.
introducing people to the whole concept of the galactics and helping to bring that together. So yeah, that's what his purpose is.
Okay. Well, that's
So aligned to you.
very interesting because even and that corresponds to my human design sun gate, which is gate 11, which is peace, ideas, and harmony. And so that's really what I'm here to be in the world doing. Yeah,
Yeah.
bringing it together. So I love how that all corresponds together.
It really does. It really does. And so if you know your moon and rising as well, those are the other.
And I, so both moon
Oh,
and
they're both
rising are
Gemini. Okay. And that's this guy, right? Yeah, that's Zadkiel.
okay.
Zadkiel. And he's deep indigo blue is his halo color. And Zadkiel is for balance, number one, because of the Gemini, right? Balancing both sides of us, our duality. But he's also really around teaching and tests and the archangel to go to if you want to teach someone or you're learning new things or you're really anxious about that. So the whole teaching, which I think is the other part of what you do, is you
Yeah,
don't just bring people together, you're teaching people about it.
right.
So
Well, that's fascinating because again, like my entire professional career has been educating people. I mean, first as a professor of biology, then I was educating people how to pay down their mortgages. Then I was educating people how to make their homes look better or sell faster. And now I educate people about all of this spiritual stuff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I love how it all ties together. And so, okay, so just for people to understand how this all works. So if I know I can call in Michael, put that blue bubble around me, the shield. If I need extra support and healing, I call in Raphael, Haniel for that divine feminine. But then, so the ones that are associated with our zodiac sign, how do we work with them, or are they just always there and we just have to remember to ask for them? Like, how does that work?
A little bit of both. Because they're tied to your zodiac sign, they're uniquely positioned to help you in everyday life.
Okay.
So just a general, any archangel who is, available to help me out in blah blah blah, or or if you specifically are struggling with figuring out how to teach something, right? Archangel Zadkiel, if you can help give me guidance in how to put this class or lesson together. It's just asking a very simple question like that.
Okay.
That's it, and then waiting for the answer. And that, I think, is what we as humans have a very difficult time doing, because the answer is not going to be in our time. The answer is going to be in their time. And the other thing I always tell people, you can't ask them how you
Mm,
want it to happen. It's the result.
yeah.
It's because the way you want to do it, and maybe you're hitting your head against a wall because the way you're trying to do it is not the way it's supposed to happen.
Right. And that is such an important message that we need to keep hearing over and over as humans.
Yeah.
Because we try to force things to be a certain way. And what I have, again, after years of trying to force, push, initiate things to happen, it has to be like this. When I've allowed myself to be like, okay, well, this or something better, and I don't have to know how it's going to happen. I just know it happens. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I try when I'm working with clients to really understand, what do you want the result to be?
Yeah.
Let's work on the result. Manifest the result, not the 10 steps to get to the result. Let's manifest the result. Because
Mhm.
that's really what the angels and any spiritual being wants to understand is, what is the result?
Yeah.
We'll point you in the direction of how to get there if you let us know what your result is.
Okay. So when you're doing the angel tarot readings, then is that's part of when you're receiving messages from these other angels for people when you're doing the readings.
Hmm.
Now, what would someone come to you for a reading for? Specifically, like as an angel tarot reader, what are some examples of why people come to you?
Most people come to me because they're in a relationship that is not going the way they want to, or they've just met someone and it's a lot of it relationship, and a lot of it is
Okay.
and work. That's the two most common. People who believe in angels and angel energy will just come to me to say, what message do they have for me? Am I on the right path? Am I going in the right direction? Help me make sure I'm getting in the right direction. That happens typically with people who really are already on a path and understand and are working towards something. But I
Mhm.
would say 90% of my readings have to do with relationships or money or job.
Okay. And how do the saints come into this? Because you say that you call upon the saints as well.
They're
And
on my spirit team.
Okay.
So my spirit team, I do have departed loved ones and others, and angels and saints. They're on my spirit team, and uh, I have a set of oracle cards that are saints and angels that sometimes I'll pull when someone really believes in saints and they kind of want to know who they could work with. But I don't always know who they are when they're coming in or why I'm getting a message, because if I'm doing a reading and I pull a card and I'm like, I don't know why this came up, and I know it's not from Metatron or Raphael or Michael because it's not their energy, but it's a message. And so but I know it's from someone and I don't even ask. I'm like, okay, whoever it is, this is the message that this person needs to, and I'll give it to you. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, and because you're naturally working with these higher vibrational beings, there's nothing that's going to come through you that's going to be from maybe a lower vibration.
Yeah, yeah, no, and in fact, I do every opening requesting only that which is highest and best and love and light come forth. I mean, you have to do that. And
Yeah.
I think the other thing for those of us who attract energies, the other thing I do before I go to bed is ask any spirit or entity that does not belong to me to please return to where you came from, to God, universe, source. Please return. Quit
Okay.
tagging on to me.
Yeah. Well, well, and what's so beautiful about that is intention is everything, right? Like intentionally asking for guidance and support, intentionally saying, okay, we're done, unhook, like
Yeah.
go to bed.
Yeah.
Right. So the more that people are consciously aware of these energies around them, then the easier it is for them, I think, to function in the world.
It is. And it, I truly believe that there's no such thing as a coincidence.
Yeah.
It's not coincidence. It is some sort of divine intervention. And I say divine because it's from wherever that source created, it's divine. It's not of humans. So it's divine. And there is no such thing as a coincidence. And I think if people, and I don't believe in luck, I believe it's a blessing. It's not luck, it's a blessing. It's capitalizing and recognizing that you have been sent a message or put in a situation. It's not luck. I truly don't believe that either. So when people say you're lucky, I'm like, no, I am not. I am blessed.
Yeah, for sure. Well, so how has doing this work benefited you in your life?
I think the biggest benefit I've gotten is the peace of mind to know that how I have felt all along and my desire to help others
Mm.
has all basically made sense, right? I've people who've known me and I've never been quote unquote conventional, never taken a conventional path, but now it kind of all makes sense as to why I haven't.
Mhm.
And it really allows me to feel good about helping other people. And I know that, and it's interesting. I did my diamond astrology. I don't know if you saw that woman in the
I did
planet.
see her.
Yeah, I signed up for a session, and it was so on point. I've heard this a couple of times, but one of my soul's purposes is to communicate what I know and see and hear.
Okay.
That is my purpose on this earth, to tell others and talk about it.
Okay.
And I've been
Sister.
doing that my
Yeah.
whole life. I've been doing that my whole life.
Mhm.
And it's just now that I'm actually doing a business about it. So it's just really helped me feel whole, I guess, if you want to call it that. I've had pieces of it, but it just all kind of makes sense.
Mm, beautiful. Okay, so psychometry, what is that?
Yeah, I love that. So every object has the energy of the person that owned it. And I can take an object
Mhm.
and literally read the energy and or the situation around the person that owned that object. So if it's a loved one and you want to know how they died because maybe they were found dead or you didn't know, I can take that object and literally when I read the object, I connect with them, I channel them, and I can absolutely tell you what has happened or where they are or whatever. Yeah.
Okay. And now that you're describing that, that is one thing that I learned in a psychic class that I took about 4.5 years ago. But it was just one of the classes that we did over a several month period. So now, okay, so that's interesting. Well, and as we know, energy is in everything, right?
Hmm.
But so when things get passed down in families, they're carrying that energy. But if someone, let's say, gets a wedding ring that they buy at some kind of antique store, I
Hmm.
mean, is there a way to clear that energy? Should they clear that energy? Are there any rules about anything like that?
So I have heard that there are ways to clear the energy, but I truly don't believe that you can completely clear the energy, particularly in a metal. A metal absorbs the energy of the beings that had it. And I've tried saging, I've tried crystals, I've tried everything. And I personally have never experienced the ability to clear it. And the great example is a ring. And I bought an estate ring.
Okay.
And after wearing it for a couple of days, I felt really sick,
Hmm.
like really sick. And I sat down and I channeled and I found out that the woman who owned it died of cancer.
Okay.
And so I had to stop wearing it. Immediately felt better. And I
Yeah.
did crystals and sage and holy oil. I did everything, tried to put the ring back, but I must pick up energies at a level maybe others don't. Cannot wear that ring. I can't wear it.
Okay.
It makes me sick.
Okay. Well, and so just something for people to be aware of that if they are getting pieces, especially like you're saying, anything metal or jewelry that you're going to wear on your
Yeah.
body. Yeah.
Yeah, you really have to be careful because you don't know what the energies that are in that object are, and particularly you even if you're not highly sensitive, maybe like Lisa and I, everyone is going to be sensitive at some level, and prolonged exposure will impact you.
Yeah.
Um, and so one of the other things that I help teach people is to use your inner knowingness as to whether or not when you get an estate piece or you're looking at something somebody else owned, to know, is this something I should own? Is this something I should have? And trust your inner knowingness, your yes or no, as to whether or not you should. I didn't with that piece that I bought. I just liked it. I skipped that part.
Right.
I
Now you
shouldn't have. I shouldn't have. I normally do, but I love the ring. It was so pretty. Like, nope, shouldn't have
yeah.
done that.
Well, okay. Well, so here's a question then, because so let's say, did it have a certain stone in it, or was it just the
It was a
metal?
sapphire, which is my birthstone,
Okay.
and it was sterling silver.
Okay. Well, because could you take the stone out and reset it, and then that energy would clear, or is the stone carrying that energy as well?
The stone will carry energy as well.
Yeah. Okay. So,
Yeah,
'cause, you could, I mean, refiguring stuff again, because I'm sure there are people out there wondering about that.
yeah.
Like, can't I just reset it?
Well,
So,
and some stones, like a sapphire, a genuine sapphire, will retain even more energy than the metal
okay.
because
And
it's a natural stone and it's going to hold that energy because it's natural properties. Yeah.
what? Okay. Yeah. Very, very interesting. So, any other interesting psychometry stories that you've experienced with people coming to you with an
Yeah.
object?
So a woman's mother was found dead on the floor of their home. She was, 88 years old. Her brother found her, and it'd been a couple of days, and no one knew how she died. they're Jewish and they practice the Jewish faith and they don't do autopsies in the Jewish religion. And she wanted to know how her mother died. Gave me a bracelet that her mother owned and said, could you tell me? And I wore it and channeled her mother and literally um, literally through my third eye, I saw the entire death, and her mother talked to me, including what her last words were.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Like, when
And they
that's
were bizarre. I didn't understand them, but when I told my client what those last words were, she's like, "Oh my God, that was," and she knew exactly what it was. So, yeah.
okay. Because was it in their language, in like the Hebrew language?
No,
Or
it was in English, but it was
okay.
just a phrase that made no sense to me.
Okay.
It made absolutely no sense to me.
Yeah.
And I've learned that even though it makes no sense to me, to say
Right.
exactly what comes forth, and it made all the sense in the world to her, and it made her feel better because her mother wasn't in any pain. It was sudden. It was, yeah,
Okay.
it just, yeah. But I literally through my third eye could
Mhm.
see. I even felt a little bit. I felt a little bit of what she felt, and then she came through and told me exactly what happened. So yeah,
Okay. Wow. Thank you for sharing that.
yeah,
So, in our last little bit of time here, so I know, okay, so you're coming from this Catholic world, this world of angels and saints, and you and I, after connecting with planets and predictions, you've kind of dipped your toes into my galactic world. And so, if you're willing to share what that experience has been like for you, I would love for you to share that with the audience.
yeah. So I've always I will start with the premise that I've always that to isn't any a lot from human life is filled with hubris. Like how could you possibly believe that a divine presence is only going to create one form of life? So with that, when I've always been curious, but I've never known how to go about doing it. And then when I met you, so I was already open, understanding that this is possible. But after the very first one-on-one session we had, where I found that I was a member of the Lyrans at one point, um, it clicked on so many levels because when I was a small child, I had these big giant cat posters in my room. I was allowed to decorate my own room, and I was drawn to these big giant cat posters that were in my room. Like I
Yeah.
have no reason to otherwise to have that connection. And then now with the series, it's almost like I'm going back into my own soul's history
Mm,
to really recreate and learn about who I was that has helped make up who I am today. And,
beautiful.
and it's really about that. It and the experiences are eye-opening, filling in gaps, very empowering. Because I do believe, and it's not very Catholic to believe this, I do believe that our souls are not just a one-time thing, that souls have come back and have lived forever and ever and ever. And
Yeah.
I do truly believe in that. And this has really helped me get in touch with parts of me that are filling in pieces, but also almost confirming what I have felt but have never been able to articulate.
Mm, beautiful. Thank you for
Yeah.
sharing that. Thank you. Because, yeah, I know, I mean, I have a lot of angel friends and not as many that work in the galactic world. And so, you know, they, some of these galactics are at the same kind of vibrational level that angels are, and they feel very angelic.
They are. And last week was, I think, the first time with the mantis where the energy that I felt and the experience I felt was as close to what I feel when I'm encountering angels.
Okay.
It was such, the energy was so uplifting and enlightening. It was just amazing. It was like totally overpowering. Yeah, it was like on that same plane. And so I found that that was really kind of cool.
Yeah. Well, again, thank you for sharing that
Yeah.
experience. And so, in our very last little bit of time here, do you have any parting words of wisdom you would like to share about anything that we've talked about? Or anything
Yeah,
else?
I guess I just want people to be open to all of the possibilities in the universe. Um, it, it's very lonely and sad to think that all we have is what is materially of this earth,
Yeah.
because the material doesn't make us who we are. And if that is all that one is thinking about or exploring or paying attention to, you're missing out on so much else. So I just encourage people to, like you said, just dip your toe, just start, you know, attending even some free little webinars or sessions.
Right.
Um, none of this is evil. It is not devil based. It is all coming from love and light.
Mhm.
And particularly people like me who were born up in very strong Christian faiths, it is not even antithesis to a Christian faith
Yeah.
to believe that there are beings out there that are divinely created who are here to help us. And
Mm.
so I just encourage you all to go out and try to explore and research and open your heart and mind, because the result is going to be absolutely life changing.
Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. So, if someone is interested in learning more about your work or working with you, how can they find you?
My website, literally JacquelineKuhn.com. It's my name.com. And you can message me or find me on the website. My Facebook is also JacquelineKuhn.com, the power of five. So yeah, just Google my name and you will find me.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for being here. I really enjoyed our time. I've enjoyed getting to know you better in the last several months that we've been in contact. And I just can't wait to see where this goes for you as you retire out of your tech business, your tech job into this full time. Yeah.
Thank you, Lisa, and thank you for this opportunity to be here with you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. And for those of you watching or listening, thank you so much for your time. And I'll see you next time on Connection to the Cosmos. Aloha.